What's up, men? This week, it's been a while. We missed a week. We got a couple things we're gonna talk about. I want to talk about Creator Now and Airac. They sold. I don't actually know much about this, but Sean is hyped up on it. I want to talk about Mr. Beast and Twitter, which is X, which has actually been quite the interesting thing to watch on Twitter with him and Elon going at it. I want to talk about this Rabbit R1, which I've seen a million things about. Don't know anything about it, but it got released at at CES a few weeks ago. And Sean, I filmed a mutual friend of ours, Noah Kagan, who we're buddies now. I got his cell phone number somehow. I filmed him this weekend. So I want to talk about that and a couple other things. But first, how are you guys? Kyler, Sean, how are you?
Great. It's overcast over here, so I love it because we don't get that kind of weather over here. Sean, lagging over here?
Sean's shooting on a Sony, so his stuff is glitching out.
I'm good. It was freezing for a minute
Sean,
for
are you
me. I wasn't
alive?
sure if Kyler was still talking, but doing good. Happy to be here.
Awesome.
Okay, good. Nice. Okay. Well, actually, I know we're gonna go a little out of order. So interesting thing happened. I'll tell you my perspective. Last year, Tucker Carlson, the number one show on TV, the number one news show on all of television, has been for freaking damn near a decade. Leaves Fox News, which I think everybody's pretty confident that the legacy media is dying, and he goes over to Twitter, which I thought was very significant, very very significant. And you know what he does on Twitter? He fucking does really well. And then so I've been watching it like a hawk. I've been watching it like a hawk because I think it's really where new media, especially adult media, I think that's where, we talk about Instagram and LinkedIn and all these things, and people call LinkedIn like professional, but like Twitter is where the adults are hanging out and talking politics and news and culture. And the fact that Tucker went there was a big deal. And now Mr. Beast goes over there and launches a video, which I don't actually know if that's a good brand move, but I'm curious what you guys think about all this.
Sean, you want to go first?
What was the whole question? Because it was kind of freezing up on me a little bit. Tucker Carlson went to Twitter. Legacy media is dying, and you're just wondering my thoughts on it.
Well,
On Mr. Beast.
Oh, on
Mr. Beast. I mean, what do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think about Mr. Beast? And then him and Elon been going at it like on Twitter about it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it would be cool if Mr. Beast used this as like an opportunity to do a collab with Elon, but he probably wouldn't do it unless he's uploading.
Bad. All right.
To
I'll go. So let's see. Mr. Beast, right? He's been going back and forth with Elon Musk about this Twitter stuff. I think it's interesting. You talk about the branding on it. I think it could be like one of those one-time things where it gets the attention because it's just like an interesting crossover. Obviously got the views. I don't know how much of that is because Twitter or X put some marketing behind it to boost it and put it in front of everyone. But I mean, at the end of the day, it got attention. And I mean, if you don't know who Mr. Beast is by now, then you're living under a rock. But like for those that don't, got some exposure for his brand. And Elon's always been like that, has that branding of like trying to be that cool entrepreneur that's on the internet. So for him to do these little collaborations, going on Joe Rogan, working with Mr. Beast, I think it's great for his brand. Mr. Beast getting into Elon Musk space, I mean, I don't know. Mr. Beast is who's his audience? Kids, right? So I mean, I don't know. What do you think? It's just interesting. I think it's cool.
Well, I'm looking at it. So currently this video gets 167 million views. So that is by every definition impressive, right? I wonder, actually, now I'm going to look at it. I wonder how much it got on YouTube. So I think he thought it was going to be a joke, and it was not a joke. So the fact that it got so many, that it did so well, it's like, oh, there's a real opportunity here. So I think that changes the name, right? I mean, could there be a world where Mr. Beast says no to YouTube and yes to X and goes exclusive to X? Like, what would that do to YouTube, right? What would that do to X, right? That would fundamentally change the platform.
Yes.
Also, this week I saw a video where Mr. B says, "Yeah, I'd run for president." Now you got to remember he's 25, right? He's not going to be eligible until he's 40. So I think about this in terms of like, what is this guy's attention, right? Like, why is Donald Trump so popular? It's not because he's been in the electorate for 40 years, right? Doing lawmaking. He's been a reality TV show for 40 years. Well, what if you have Mr. Beast, who has a way bigger audience, by the way? And yeah, they are kids, but I don't know if you know this. Kids grow up.
Yep. That's my
Kids
thought.
grow up. So this 200 million subscribers that he has on YouTube. I mean, now not all of those in the United States, but are 100 million. That's a third of the population, my dude.
Yep.
That's a third of the population. 83 million people voted for Donald Trump, or whatever
It's
it is,
huge.
80 million, right? So what if 100 million people? And then you got to remember, I'm not talking about next year. I'm talking about in 20 years at the least. And most politicians don't run until they're about 60 because they want to have a little bit of wisdom and they need the political capital. But the video that he says, Mr. B says, is like, I don't need the money. I'll just give all the money away. Like all I have, you can't buy me, so I can just do the right thing. It's what Donald Trump ran on, right? I'm the outsider.
Yep.
So I think this Twitter X Elon Musk's Mr. Beast sort of thing has bigger implications than just like, oh, I mean, it got 167 million views. He says it paid him $250,000, which is nowhere near. I don't know what YouTube pays him. I can't imagine 250,000 is a lot for him for a video. But I bet you it's enough that he's like, I'll post it on both.
Yes.
250,000 ain't nothing, and it doesn't cost anything to post. So, can that grow? I mean, he did. Considering that's the first video he did on Twitter. So, I think it's very interesting. Elon wants Twitter to become the number one social platform for all media types, and I mean, a lot of people laugh, but if you laugh at Elon Musk, like,
yeah,
prepare to be, it's like he's kind of pulled through on everything so far. So,
yeah, I mean, I agree with that. The long-term play in it matters because if X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, slowly starts taking these creators and they start posting on this platform and it becomes a place to monetize all the attention now. Now you have the politicians there, you have the creators there. So you have all these different hubs of people that are on your platform promoting X and Twitter. And I mean, look what Elon Musk would create. He would control media. I think that's what he wants as well. It helps his brand.
Yeah, is he the biggest now on is he now the biggest on Twitter? I mean, there's secondary order effects here where I think like there's a weird thing that happens is like once something's cool, then the cool people leave. So
yes,
there's definitely something about an undeniable fact about culture where you can segment people into like first movers, and the first movers are going to go to whatever's cool, and when it gets crowded and like stuffy, then they're just like, I'm just going to leave. So I worry about that with social. I think that's going to be a lot of social right now. Like Facebook was cool in 2008. Like we opened it up, it's cool, right? And now it's like, it's the old people, right?
Yeah.
And Instagram's kind of sort of going that way now. TikTok's the young people, but that's going to get old, and then there'll be something else. So I think there'll always be like a sort of movement. What's interesting, I think, about Mr. Beast is that this guy has zero, like, he's not slowing down. In fact, he's speeding up. So I just look at this dude's momentum at 25, and I'm like, he's talking to Elon Musk, like on Twitter, like fairly regularly. He's talking about being president. He's making absurd amounts of money. He's the most popular person on the entire internet. What is this person going to become in 20 years? If you can bring that onto the Twitter platform, the kids won't care until they're 40. Then, like, Twitter can be like, hey, we don't want to deal with the TikToker type content. We want to deal with adult content. Well,
yes.
People spend most of their life as adults. You can be 13 and watch Mr. Beast, but one day you're going to be 35, and they're going to do, like, I'll give you an example, and I'll stop sucking the air up. People say, like, what do I care about national politics? Why do I going to pay attention to Donald Trump versus Joe Biden? Why do I care about politics? It doesn't affect me. Well, when I was 18, it was 2001. and 9/11 happened, and then I went and joined the army, and then I went to Afghanistan. So I had a very early understanding that national politics can very directly, very much so affect you. And so what happens, I say that all to say, like, all these 14-year-old kids that don't care now that are watching Mr. Beast, when he comes out one day in 10 or 15 years and he matures and he's like, let's talk about politics. These people are going to listen, and they're going to be in a position where they care more. He's not going to make content for kids forever. So that's why I think it's so interesting. These are like the biggest, like you said, Elon's the biggest media owner now, and Mr. Beast is the biggest media creator.
Yeah. The future's, he's building a lot of leverage in it for a long-term game, because those kids are going to be loyal to him just because of his entertainment. And then once he starts talking and getting into more serious types of topics, people are going to listen to him. Whether those beliefs you believe in or not, it doesn't matter, because he already has the loyalty for a lot of the youth. That could be dangerous too. So it's interesting to see how that plays out, depending on, his beliefs and stuff. I mean, that's how dictatorships are built.
100%. Everybody wants the benevolent dictator.
Yeah. He actually makes the what is that? Not the Hunger Games or whatever. that show he did. He makes it a reality. But no, that would be hilarious, but also not.
Yeah.
All right, cool. What's next? Sean, are you back with us, or?
I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yes. Welcome
Awesome.
back. You missed out on our Mr. Beast, but we're ready to move on now.
Sean, tell me about Eric.
So Eric is a creator I've been following since COVID 2020. He blew up on the platform YouTube, getting 1 million subscribers in less than a year. And he was doing kind of challenges like sneaking into Jake Paul and Logan Paul's fights and things like that. Super clickbaity, kind of in the same realm as Mr. Beast. And then he partnered with a guy named Zach and Katie and started Creator Now. And it's a online community where they can teach creators how to be creators. I joined. It's about $250 a year, and they have over 10,000 creators that they've helped achieve over 126 billion views. I don't know if they're counting Eric's videos in that or not. I suspect they are. But they recently just got acquired by vidIQ. And so I was doing a little bit of homework. I was like, okay, I'm curious, how much did they get bought for? So when Kyler and I were talking, we were actually looking up, okay, how much does vidIQ make, firstly? And this is all speculative. I saw on growjoe.com that they were estimating 16 million a year. But I saw on LinkedIn, Creator Now only has 14 people listed on LinkedIn that work there. And they said they're not changing anything, with their current model of, having guest YouTubers come on the platform and, talk about their methodologies for creating content. And they do like editing critiques and channel roasts. It's kind of a cool, community of people that are all just trying to make it on YouTube. But I was kind of curious what we would guess that they got bought for, because it was news to me when I saw that they got bought. They're only 3 years old, and they have 10,000 people that have joined Creator Now. So,
we can do some quick and dirty math.
How much does it cost?
Would you say 200? How many people?
Yeah, 10,000 people pay $250 a year.
So that's 2.5 million revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you say they have I'm totally guessing. What's their expense ratio? Right? Are they 80% margins?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's probably pretty high. I bet everyone works from home. I don't know if they actually have an office or not.
Yeah. So, like, do they have $250,000 in expenses a year? Right? Could this thing be like a 90% profit margins? You know what I mean?
Well, how many employees did you say they had?
15 listed on LinkedIn.
It's got to be higher than 250 grand then, because everyone's got to be on salary.
Million. If you figure $100,000 per employee.
Yeah.
Maybe less than that. Okay. Hang on.
And then what's the multiplier on something like that?
Yeah.
Is there one?
Minus, let's say they have $1 million in expenses. That's 1.5 million times point, I don't know, 06. My math is not mathing. 25 million.
Okay. Wow.
That seems probably pretty aggressive.
You probably also have to
is-
look at if they took out any
that is-
loans. What's their liabilities?
Yeah, I'm just going off of
Yeah.
basically a real rough 1.5 million in net at a 6 cap valuation. But what's interesting is if let's say that number's, let's say it's half that. Let's say it's 10 million. That's still a good chunk of cash. What's interesting is Sean and I have talked about it extensively, like the future of online communities, which is I think where I think the whole internet's going to go. I think it's going to go away from courses because I don't think paid education is. I think that we're going to go into a paid community, paid access to people sort of world. Actually, we came from that world, human beings, and we're going to go back to that world. But what's interesting is if you could get 10,000 people to pay you $250 a year, which ain't that much money. Even Sean did it.
Yeah.
And you can sell that thing for 10, make $10 million in a couple of years. It's like that's real money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I want to go back to what you said about online education. What are your thoughts on that, the future of that? And why don't you like it, or why do you like it?
Paid education?
Yes. Courses.
Yeah, because I think most people don't learn that way. I don't think most people learn by like, hey, here's a textbook. Sit at home and learn it. I don't think that's how most people like to learn. I don't think that's a very effective way to teach. It's not what colleges do. That's not what coaches would do. That's not what a mentor-mentee would do. That's not what an entrepreneur, how you would learn. You'd learn by reps. So like there's nowhere in the society that says like that model is effective. And secondly, piece of information that you can charge for, if you were actually working on it, you can find it for free. There's nothing in the world that the information age is democratized everything you want to know about the world. I mean, there's nothing that you can't learn about how to do everything that we do on cameras on YouTube. Kyler, like, did you pay for mentorship to learn cameras? Was it a combination of YouTube University plus going and doing?
That right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I started very young. So I took a class, obviously I was in school, but to actually do it, it's like you take the camera out and go figure it out on your own. Someone could tell you all they want, but you still have to go out and do it and figure it out.
And you probably need to be with somebody to be like, yeah, the reason why that photo looks like shit is because you're you're overexposed. Or
that's, the feedback.
Say again.
Sorry, say that again.
You need a little bit of mentorship. You need a little bit of mentorship.
Yes,
you need somebody to be
100%.
like, why is this photo not where it, like, you walk out with somebody and you guys both take photos together and you're like, why do yours look better? Oh, here's the good camera. How come I still can't take good photos? And you get that hands-on experience. So I think right now we're in an economic period where like marketing is very popular, and so courses are high leverage. And they're easy to market, and people are like thinking, they need just to learn these things. So I think it's popular right now, but I don't think it's the future. I think if I look at human nature, what did human nature do for thousands of years? They did essentially caste systems in society. It's like you're poor, you're down there, you're rich, you're up here. And that's what humans are naturally going to do. And they're doing it now. If you're paying attention, there's how much does it cost to get into Pineda's mastermind? Our mastermind here at Better Life is a few $100 a month. There's higher ones. Brandon has an absurdly high one, right? All these big dogs have like big time. I know at least 3 off the top of my head masterminds that are $50,000 a year, right? And a whole smash more that are 10 to 20. There's millions and millions that I don't know about. So I just think that's where people are going to go. And it's like, if you want to be around these people and learn from them one-on-one, and you want to get into a smaller group, then you pay for access.
Yeah. No, I think you're spot on with that. I just took a course. I was just telling Sean last week, I was like, man, it was boring. But it's just, it feels like I'm in class again. And like, it's hard for me to retain information on that. I'm like, just show me, like, let me just do it. And then like, tell me like what I'm doing wrong. But you look at ancient philosophers, that's how they were taught. It is mentor-mentee. Socrates taught, what's his name? And
Plato.
then he taught them, and then they taught Alexander the Great and like all these people, right? So it's a lineage of all these philosophers teaching each other over time. But a lot of that is just speaking to each other, and it's just talk, because they talk and figure it out as they go. That's why these philosophers have these ideas, because they're expanding upon their experiences in life. But yeah, I think it's cool.
Yeah, would you pay to be around Socrates? Not to read his book. You can buy his book, right? But would you pay if you're like, I can hang out with him every day?
Yes,
because you're gonna learn on a
absolutely.
different level. Yeah.
Yes. One-on-one. Just get more out of it.
Or close. One to. I think about this a lot. Like, what's
One
the
to a group.
size for community? One to a group.
Yeah.
But not one to all.
I think there is a point where it gets too big, then everything gets watered down a little bit and it's too vague for everyone. But when you have smaller groups, you can definitely ask those questions, personal questions still, and be able to apply them to your business or life or whatever. But yeah, I think the future is and I'm interested in that too, because I'm in, I've helped creators create courses and things like that. And when it was cool, it was cool. I feel like it's very saturated. Everyone has a course. And then on top of that, it's like gotten to a point where you feel like there needs to be some type of regulation on it. But, then again, I'm not a regulation type of guy. But it just feels like if you can create a course and you have a month of experience, and just like, dude, you should not be teaching people how to do something.
No, but I don't want to tell
money.
people they. Yeah, I mean, there's no accreditation. That's what the accreditation process was for colleges.
Yes, yeah.
But
Which
I think dumb people should be should pay a little bit of a penalty for being dumb.
Yeah, do your research. But no, I will admit, like, when I was, 18, 19 years old, looking for information outside of university, back then it was like you had Tai Lopez, and like everyone was like, oh, this is it. Which I've never ended up buying any of Tai Lopez's stuff. But I'm just, you hear things, and then it's like, damn, I was this close to buying his stuff and wasting my money or whatever.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a level of charlatanism that exists right now in the market. There's a lot of scams. There's a lot of
don't sue me, Tai Lopez.
There's the line between con and marketing is fucking gray these days. And I think people should be more skeptical than ever. But that's gonna happen with communities too. It's gonna be join my community, and you're gonna get nothing out of it, and you're gonna get scammed. So it's not a perfect system, and it won't be a perfect system, but I've done both. Excuse me, I've not done both. I've never really paid for education, but I've learned a lot of education on the internet for free. Where I've learned is communities, and I have now paid for a couple of communities, and they've all really been worth it. And actually, what I'm doing, my strategy going forward is to put more money into communities. Right? Can I swing a $15,000 a year bill to be in GoBundance or something like that, and talk to people who are only millionaires and some of these other big ones? I'm not, it's tight for me, but also I wonder, I'm like, that's an investment, bro. Like, could you meet one person that makes you the $15,000 a year, and now it's paid for itself or better?
Yeah.
So
when you look at joining communities, Alex, because I'm always trying to think of like, how do I divide my money that I make? Do you have like a certain percent that you're allocating for communities and education, or is it just kind of if it fits within the budget?
That's a good question. I what I've been doing this year, especially, is like, I like to buy real estate. Real estate's overpriced. Maybe not overpriced, but there's not that much money made in it. But you can't sit on cash. So then it's like, what are you going to spend your money on? It's like relationships. So now's the time to spend money on. You can't sit on the cash, and you can't just stockpile it and wait around. So, spend money on communities. The other thing is, I'll say this is like, this is maybe a little more nefarious. It's sort of like going to YouTube University instead of paying for a class. The argument is like, hey, you could pay for this course and get all the YouTube University education up consolidated up front. That sounds good. So what if you do this? But maybe you're just if you're a hustler, if you're a go-getter, if you're an ambitious, you can just go do the research yourself. But it's more labor. So what if you did the same thing with communities where you're like, hey, I want to join GoBundance, but I don't have the 15 grand. Well, you can pretty easily find out who's in GoBundance and go, network with them.
Well, how do you look at it, Kyler? And have you? Because I've done, I did Creator Now, and that was a cheaper one. I've done a handful of other cheaper community ones, like $50 or less monthly. But another interesting stat that I read is like 90% of people don't finish their online courses that they take. And
I believe that.
I even fall victim to that. I've signed up for a couple online ones where I haven't crossed all the way to the finish line. And I think one thing about community is if you can have the accountability with, the other people that are in the community with you, that could really help, in terms of making sure you follow through with what you're saying you're going to do. But
yes, I think that comes down to as well. Like, so when you read a book, do you read it from page 1 all the way through, or are you a skimmer?
Good question. So normally I will check out the table of contents just to kind of see how in depth they talk about like what, like if it's just like randomized where it's like chapter 1, like early life, chapter 2, my career, chapter 3, like selling, and it's like, okay, I get it. But like sometimes they're a little bit more granular with like what they'll cover or talk about. So I try to just read that just to kind of see if I can get a preview. But then typically I'll read it all the way through unless it's like something that, like right now I'm reading a rock climbing book and they're talking about like doing body weight squats. So I started skimming because I was like, okay, I've done body weight squats.
Yeah. Usually, so I changed the way I like take in information now, where if I know I'm lacking in a skill and I could buy a book that maybe just has a chapter on what I only need, then I'll only read that chapter. Or same with a course. Like, let's say I bought a course on how to use a camera, but I had no clue I didn't understand, let's say, like how to edit log footage, right? And I'm just trying to learn how to color grade. And there was a whole entire chapter on that. I would probably just buy the course just to watch the color grading video. The other ones are bonuses, but it's like, I don't need that, like, right? I don't need to learn the basics of camera and camera shots and whatever. So when I go through information, I mean, I want to know like what percentage of those people are like me, who it's like, I don't need this whole thing. I don't even need to go through the whole thing. I just need this one section, and I'm willing to pay for that knowledge because I feel like I can't get it anywhere else, or someone can explain it to me. That person I'm buying from explains it better than the other people I'm watching. So with that information too, I look at that and I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But for me, when I learn, I don't feel like I'm not going to waste my time because I value my time. So I'm just going to go through the stuff that I need, not the extra stuff, just so I can feel like I've accomplished 1 through A to Z. So yeah, I guess that's my thoughts on it too, is like the online education space with that. There's certain things that are helpful. The community thing, I think, is great. I've actually, now that I think about it, I've probably never paid to be in a community. I tend to barter to get into the communities. Now that I think about it with the camera stuff, because certain communities, hey, I'll film the event, or let's shoot some content. And then by default, you're in the community, right? So I guess I've never paid cash, but I've paid with my time and my skills. And that's how I've basically gotten through to so many different things, especially when I was younger, when I didn't have a lot of money. I had to think of creative ways. I was like, there's no way I'm paying $20,000 to get in. I don't even have that. So yeah, I think that's a good skill. That's how I've gotten wisdom. And then nowadays, I have a good community of friends who I feel like are very, very knowledgeable and are 1 to 2 steps ahead of me. And then I have some that are hundreds of steps ahead of me that I feel like I can go to and reach out and say, hey, let's talk about business. Let's grab lunch. Let's talk about what we're working on. And thankfully, like, they accept. That's the other thing. So, they trust me enough to not sit there and waste their time. And we can actually talk about business. And I get a lot of good advice. And I've partnered with people as well on businesses or ideas, and helped each other out to help build our brands and whatever. So that in itself feels like a free community, because I have a good group of friends that I can go to talk about business, that I feel like I can trust and have good insight on things. So yeah, the community. Yeah, I mean, I don't hate communities. I think they're great. I think if you don't want to pay thousands of dollars for a community, then you just need to find a way to communicate with these people and just be genuine enough to become friends with them, where it's fun to hang out with them and also talk business. So that's a win-win for me. I love that because it's just natural. It doesn't feel like I'm trying to pull something out of you, and I'm all about genuine relationships.
Absolutely. So do you think this year, would you join a community? Or if there's that one that
I
you
think
wanted?
the right ones.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm in need of like certain information. Definitely not opposed to that.
Yeah.
It's just, for me, it's like, I don't want to join a bunch of tribes, basically, where I feel like I don't, bring value. That's a huge thing for me. Like, I don't want to join something where I feel like I can't help at all. And I think if you're going to be in a community, it needs to be a fair trade. So 1, I have to be the right fit. And then 2, are the people I'm talking to obviously something I care about? So even, there could be a lot of smart people. I guess my point is there could be a lot of smart people with a lot of knowledge, but like, if I don't plan on doing anything in that realm or that space that they're talking about, it's not going to be a value to me. It might be good to know the information, but for me, when I try to stay focused, I literally try to stay focused on the one thing that I'm trying to do or build. So yeah, I mean, I'm open to it if I find the right ones, but I wouldn't say I'm actively out there seeking all the time for it. It's usually individuals I would actually seek out instead of like, how can I connect with this person? Because I feel like they have a good philosophy. They're a few steps ahead of me, and they can definitely guide me. And if I could pay for a one-on-one, that's a different story. I would definitely pay for a one-on-one, like coaching sessions, maybe once every quarter. I don't need a lot. I don't need to talk to someone a lot. You just tell me the right direction, and I'll try to figure it out on my own. And I think that's where you learn the most, is just doing.
You froze for a second, but you're saying the one-on-one every quarter.
Yeah.
Who would be, if you could have your wish list of like 3 or 4 different people that you talk to every quarter, who would you pick?
That's a good question. It's a good question. I have to think about that. I think like one of them, like Matt, my buddy, right? We just get along well.
Shout out, Matt.
So naturally, on top of that, I think he's very intelligent on the number side of businesses and talking about that. I think he's very analytical. So like, if you present a business idea or you plan on doing something with your business, he'll always bring up like, okay, do the numbers make sense? And what are things that you're blindsided by? And so that's one person, which I already, we talk to each other probably weekly now. That's valuable, because I think having someone there that's just all numbers 100% of the time to break things down completely takes the emotion out of things, and you can think 100% logically. So yeah, having some type of numbers person, a CFO or something there, that is vital. And then I think you need to have someone also that's way ahead of you. So you can still have like, so you can still keep those dreams in the future of 10, 20, 30 years from now. I have a friend that's, you know, he's way ahead of me. So for me to have him there and to explain, Sean's gone, so I'm just going to talk to you guys. But to have someone that's 10 to 20 steps ahead of you is huge as well, because they can tell you if you see something through, you know, you can get to their level. And oftentimes for me, it's tough to be able to, sometimes it's tough to think about the future 20 years down the line, and to have someone there that can guide you through, like, hey, look, I know times are tough now, but trust me, if you stick through whatever you're working with in business, you can get far. So I keep dragging on my answers, but I think for me, like, I don't have specific people. I think I have a lot of those people in my life already that I talk to. So Sean, I don't know what you missed, but I was talking about having someone in the financial space that can help you out, like a CFO.
Mm-hmm.
And then secondly, someone that's 10 to 20 steps ahead of you that can help you still dream and hold on that future, that, hey, look, I know things aren't going out as they are now, but you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think those two people are essential. And then maybe someone 1 to 2 steps ahead of you in your business that you can talk to and bounce ideas off of. And, you know, I act as that type of person for other people already, where it's like, hey, this is something we're going through. And I was like, oh yeah, I literally dealt with that last year. This is how we fixed it. Those are like, that helps you because it saves you so much time from having to figure out the hard things that you're stuck on. So yeah, those are 3 people I would definitely try to find in your life.
Sure.
Welcome back, Alex.
I'm so sorry. It's good to be needed in this world.
Yes. A man in very high demand.
Yeah. I apologize.
No worries. Yeah, we were just talking about, Sean asked a good question. We're still on the community type of topic, but who are some people that you recommend, like, having in your life to help you in your business and your personal life, that, you know, kind of like a wish list of people or people that you already have?
Yeah. You know, that's a good question. You need, first off, I started therapy this year, only very recently. I think that's important because what ends up happening myself, and I can't speak for everybody else, but I start treating my friends and family and coworkers as therapists because I need to talk my shit out. And then what happens is now you're giving them, like, you want people around to help you through your problems, but you don't want to just dump your problems on other people. And so, so you should have people around that are sort of designed for specific problems. When you say, like, what kind of people do you need in your life, I think the first question is, like, well, what do you want to do? You know, what do you really want to do? I hired a creative storytelling mentor this year, and I'm going to probably end that here soon because that's not what I actually really want to do full time, at least not yet. So what I'm going to do, I can't say what everybody should do, but what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to be moving to Austin here this year, and I'm going to start a community of real estate investors. I love telling stories about people on camera, so I'm going to join a community of Austin real estate investors, high end people that are ahead of me, commercial, big deals, people that, like, for me, I want to be at a place where everybody is above me in life and is either willing to, I don't want to say it, I'll say it theatrically, like, take pity on me and be like, oh, we'll drag Alex along. We'll find a place for him. You don't want to be in a place where you're all peers, and you don't want to be a place where you're at the top, and you don't want to be a place at the bottom. You want to be in a place where you're in the middle.
Yep.
And so generally that means, you know, I think about it like tithing, like it's like 10%. You're like, why? It's like, because 10% is hard. 10% is hard. So what you want to do is you want to pay for a community that it's kind of hard. And that's how you know, like, other people are stretching too.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that answers your question. I kind of came in late, but you want people around that are doing a little bit better than you, that are willing to, you know, invest a little bit of their time and effort into you, at least for a short time. And if you can identify what you want to do, find the people that are doing it, you have access to them on the internet. I made a mentor out of a friend who a lot of people would like to have as a mentor, but they don't. And the reason I did it is I just text him. I just DM him. I just shoved my life into his life, and now, he's giving me a lot of his time. So
Awesome.
I think it's identifying the people that you want to be like.
Yep, that's good. Similar answer to mine. But
Yeah.
What about you, Sean?
Yeah, no, I loved hearing your guys' answers. Yeah, I think having somebody in your corner who's good at numbers and kind of like the CFO role, like you said, Kyler is really great. And then I think having
Poor
somebody
Sean's just
who,
not.
This
His
has been the
internet
most
just
tragic
hates him today.
podcast I've ever done.
oh no, am I frozen again?
Yeah, your internet. Alex is gone for 5 minutes. I'm sitting here in the pod by myself talking to my camera.
I wish I could tell me when it's like frozen and you guys can't hear me or something. Because
let's let's wrap this one. This one's it's just tough with Sean.
Join a community
jumping
of
in and
people
out.
who have good Wi-Fi.
Yeah. We got to run speed tests before every podcast in order to qualify.
He dropped off. Well, sorry, Kyler. But I am grateful for your time. But are you part of any paid communities at the time at this moment?
No, Sean actually just asked me that. He was like, would you join any paid community? I was like, it has to be the right one, because one, I feel like I have to give some type of value. That's another thing. I don't want to be just taking. And then also two, it has to be a community where I have to feel like I'm learning as well. Because I was saying there's a lot of communities out there with a lot of smart people, but if it's something that I feel like I'm not interested in yet, or I'm not focused on yet, then there's no point in me joining that, because I'm focused on what I'm trying to build. That's how I got into the mentorships of people. And I was like, that's what's helped me a lot recently, is just having good friends that I count as a community, that we bounce ideas off each other, friends that are ahead of me, friends that are 100 steps ahead of me, so I can put it all into perspective.
Yeah. And you got to try. I mean, I think people, they get a little bit of scarcity mindset, and they're like, I want to spend money to just have friends. And I used to think that way too. And it's not spending money to have friends. It's spending money. It's an investment in human capital.
Yes.
Right. But just like any investment, I don't want to own most stocks. Right. I own some Bitcoin. I don't really want to own Bitcoin. I think it's not the type of investment that I want. The same thing. I don't buy lottery tickets with my money. I don't gamble. So, spending $3,000 a year to be part of a paid community, or $5,000 a year sounds outrageous. But then you think about it, I'm like, dude, you spend that on a lot of nonsense. So it's a good investment. If you don't have an investment mindset, then it seems like a lot of money. But when you have an investment mindset and you start realizing that, I have this old saying, or I think I learned it from Grant Cardone, I never spend money on things that don't make me money. So communities make money. They make me more money.
I was talking about too, joining communities, of how I was lucky when I was younger because of the camera. Again, I was able to get into communities and meet certain people just because I was like, hey, let's shoot some content. Let's do that. So it's like, that was my way back then, when I didn't have 20,000 to join a community, to be able to get in somewhere and see what these guys are talking about. And that was huge.
Dude, Brandon has a mastermind called the 50, and it's only 50 people, and it's $50,000 a year, and I cannot afford that. Not really, not responsibly. But I go because I have my camera. The camera will get you in rooms. I don't like it as my primary source of income, the camera, personally. But man, I've never seen a better networking tool.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
And that camera right there costs you what, $3-4 grand, and
I'm like,
that pays dividends.
Turns out every entrepreneur in the world is an egomaniac and wants to look good or make some cool look. They just want to look good. I'm like, here, I make you look good. They're like, let's be friends. What do you do? Can I have you around some more? And I'm like, sure can.
Yep. That's the biggest tip. I always tell people, camera guys, I was like, dude, don't just shoot just to shoot. Like, strategize, leverage that camera.
Honey, shoot to me.
But yeah, that's Yeah, that's pretty much it. Do you want to talk about anything else, or we want to save them for later? Sean,
We can save it.
can
This
you
has
even
been a
hear us?
tragic episode.
Yeah.
But let's meet again soon.
Sean's gone, bro.
I'll send you guys out. I'll have Christine send you guys out the link again. And we'll set it up sooner rather than later.
Cool. Sounds good. Good talking to you guys.
All right, boys. Yeah, we'll see you.
All right. Take care. Bye.